Hello, everybody. I'm here, like, kind of dirtbagging it. Spent the weekend skiing and hang out in the hot tub, and there was like 3 feet of snow, and it was amazing. So I've got my whole ponytail action going here. So I'm not video ready, but here we are because this is real life, right? So today I have a couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, if you're only going to watch for like a hot second, I will talk about this more at length at the end of my nerdy calorie um, rant here. But we do have a couple of super fun holiday specials right now. We have a holiday webinar about holiday tips from me and Karen and Jenny, two of my favorite coaches on the Holis team, about like how to get through the holidays in the right mind space. So if you want that, drop holiday webinar into the comments. And also we have some special culinary strategy sessions for you guys with Coach Katrina and Coach Karen about whether you guys need some help with just kind of planning how to like change your favorite holiday recipes into just a little bit more healthy, or how you want to get your mindset around holidays. So these are really great sessions. If you would like to try any of those, just drop the word strategy into the comments and we will get you to Karen or Katrina. They're really amazing. So today we are going to talk a little bit about food being more than calories. So I saw something pop up on my social media feed the other day, and it's something that I first saw a few years ago, and you've probably seen it too. And I'm not going to lie, like I skimmed through it because it's interesting, but it also can really give you a really limited view on the relationship between food and exercise. And before you and I get into it, if you don't already know me, I'm Dr. Heather Hammerstedt, emergency medicine, lifestyle medicine, and integrative nutrition coach. And we help people figure out how their brains and bodies work around food and movement and health change. So today I'm talking about one of those charts that outline like the burpee equivalents for different foods. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like a cookie is like 141 burpees, or like a small meatball sub is like 402 burpees, or a Big Mac is like 506 burpees. Like, I don't know. I've also seen these charts for how many miles it takes to walk or run off different foods. Like, takes an hour and 23 minutes to walk off a quarter of a large pizza, or 42 minutes of running at 5 miles per hour, or it takes like 48 minutes of walking to burn off a blueberry muffin, or 25 minutes of running. On one hand, like, it's kind of interesting, right? Because it makes you realize like just how much of an impact of what you eat can have on your body weight wise, although the numbers themselves are pretty meaningless. So a lot of things that affect how many calories a person burns, from their gender to their size to their age, and like so much more. On the other hand, this approach overlooks something like very important: the actual nutrition that different foods give your body. So food is so much more than just calories and how much it takes to burn it off. The food you eat is packed with like vitamins and minerals and other compounds that really help you build and power your muscles and your bones, and create and regulate hormones, and boost your immune system, and help your cells and their organs like do their job. And it can also be filled with unhealthy fats, added sugars, excess sodium, and refined grains that make it harder for your body to function at its best. The idea is to eat like more of the foods that add value to your body, things like veggies and fruits and lean proteins and whole grains and healthy fats, and also to eat less of those that don't contribute to your health and well-being, like added sugars and ultra processed food. So, um, I'm gonna get really nerdy here for like 5 minutes. So hang in there, people. Again, we do have a couple holiday specials before I dig into the meat here. We have holiday strategy sessions with Katrina and with Coach Karen. Amazing way to spend an hour and like change up your recipes, to bring 4 of them to the call and figure out how to like maximize them to the healthiest that you can be. Or if you just want to come and talk about mindset, about how you want to really get into the holiday season with like, yes, like end in sight. We can do that for you. We also have a holiday tips webinar on a replay for you. So send a message for webinar or for the strategy call. All right. So I'm gonna get in it. All right. Calorie in equals calorie out equals body fat. Isn't that what we've always been told? So this is kind of a calorie deception. I call it like 40 years of frustration, right? I've been alluding this for you guys like all the time on these, but like let's get nerdy and down into the data. First of all, let's reframe and stop and thinking of calories as a unit of weight. Stop that and instead think of it as a measurement of energy. Calorie is simply that. It is a unit of energy. Different foods are burned up in the lab. They release different types and levels of heat, thermal heat, which is measured and given a caloric value, defined as the energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water through 1 degree Celsius. So how is that what we're talking about in terms of our own weight? So the energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water through 1 degree Celsius equals to 1,000 small calories, and often used to measure the energy of food, the energy value of food. So technically, we're talking about food calories. We're talking about kilocalories. The calories in food provide essential energy to us to use as fuel, but is just a measurement of energy. So what's real? What form you eat those calories in, not the calorie number itself. Let's think about what needs to happen when we eat. Your food is digested. The proteins become amino acids to build and repair tissues, and the excess of that is stored away. Fat is directly absorbed into the body and used directly as energy. Carbohydrates are broken into sugars of glucose. The carbs are processed differently depending on whether they're complex sugars or simple sugars. The glucose goes through the Krebs cycle. I told you I'm getting nerdy here. To make that ATP energy, and the excess of that is stored by insulin into fat and the muscle and into the liver. So proteins, fat, and carbohydrates are all processed like completely differently. So they have different kilocalories associated with them, but they also result in different energy outputs created in the body. So this is what no one talks about. They result in very different hormonal responses from the body. It is not as simple as calories in that cause the weight. Likewise, the calories we put out as exercise are just a measurement of energy expenditure and a huge guess. Like, do not believe what you're seeing on your elliptical machine about what you're putting out. They technically have nothing to do with the food we've put in and how our body has processed those. As much as we would like to think that the fat that we take in is the same as the fat in your body, it's ridiculous and wrong. The fat that we eat is absorbed and uses energy. So if everything that we're taking in is processed differently and giving off different levels of heat and different amounts of energy, of course, it has different hormonal responses. So what we're talking about is that what we're taking in is super important. What are the assumptions that we have been carrying around about calorie in and calorie out? Assumption number 1, calorie in and calorie out are independent of each other. That assumption says that it does not matter what one is doing. The other is just kind of plugging along without a care, right? Eat less, exercise the same, and you'll lose weight? Not really. Decreasing calories of food actually makes your body expend less energy. For example, thinking about it like as a money thing, it's easier for us to think about. If you make $75,000 per year 1 year, you spend nearly that much. The next year you lose a contract and now you make $50,000. Are you still spending $75,000? No, you're going to decrease the amount of money that you are spending because of the amount you're now taking in. So that's the same way that your body does. The body does the same thing. Like many very well done studies of the thermodynamics demonstrate this. If you reduce what you take in by 30%, your body decreases its basal caloric expenditure by 30%. It's conserving. That's why we live. Our bodies are so complex and so smart, meaning it's coming back into balance just like it's supposed to. So the whole human body is not an isolated system. Like things are going in and out all the time. We're not a scale. We are a thermostat. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but the assumption that calorie in and calorie out are independent is just not true. So, assumption number two, I told you I'm getting into it tonight. Energy, calorie expenditure is stable. That's assumption number two. Why have we been obsessing over calories in without ever thinking about calories and energy out? Exercise is just a very small part of that. What is more important to understand is that the expenditure that's going out is actually our basal metabolic rate. So it's burning up food. It's the non-exercise that's burning up the energy. It's oxygen consumption of our basic metabolic processes. It isn't the same all of the time. It goes up, it goes down as much as 50% if you go up or down on the same calories in to adjust what the body is doing based on what you're feeding it. So, heat production, new proteins, new bones, detoxification of the liver, kidney, digestion, breathing, excretion, fat production, your brain, stroke volume, your heart, like all of that is changing dependent on what it has coming in. So, the portion control of caloric reduction is just doomed to fail. So your body will go down on it and energy expenditure to compensate for the energy reduction of what's coming in because it's wicked smart. Wicked smart. I used to live in New England. Can you tell? And why spend what you don't have? You'll just die. So caloric reduction is bound to fail. And we're going to think it's our fault, right? So as I always say, it's not willpower. The summary of assumption number two is that our energy expenditure does not stay the same. Assumption number three, we have control over our eating. Is that a fair assumption? So, intrinsic system to stop eating or start eating is based on our hormones, and our hormones control both calories in and calories out. So, obesity is ultimately a hormonal problem. Losing weight causes your non exercise expenditure to decrease to conserve your energy and your hormonal hunger is then amplified to acquire more food. So losing weight causes yourself to conserve their energy, and your hormonal hunger is then amplified to acquire more food. That is just the way that it is. So weight loss equals hunger and decreasing metabolism, and then we gain the weight back. Does that sound familiar? So we're not making a personal choice to eat. We're taking away this thought that it's your fault, that you did something wrong. Under eating is making us gain weight. And yes, we shame and we blame ourselves. Of course, you're making a motion to pick something up and put something in your mouth, but you're doing this because your body is telling you that you need to do this. And this is like blinking, pooping. I'm a mom of boys. We always talk about pooping, right? Breathing and other things that your body is doing without your control. So stop blaming yourself. When we identify what you're eating and how you're eating, it will correct itself. All right, I have two more. Assumption number 4, fat stores are unregulated. This assumption is that your fat stores are just being put there because you're eating too much. Simply that. Obviously, this is not the case. It is much more complicated than that. So again, every part of us is regulated. The thyroid, our growth, our menstruation, our body temperature, like everything, right? Like all of this. It's regulated. Multiple hormones exist to regulate fat growth. Leptin, lipoprotein lipases, so many hormones are in the fat that regulate hunger and blood supply and a million other things. Our fat stores are active and vibrant and serve multiple purposes for the body in terms of communication of energy. We need to think of obesity as a hormonal problem and not a caloric problem. is not a calorie problem. Your fat stores are based on what your hormones are doing and what and when you're eating. It is that what and when and why you're eating and what your hormones are doing. So, how do you figure out how to shift that? Is the question. Okay, last one, assumption number 5, a calorie is a calorie. Remember the years of counting the bagel the same as the steak, this as the same number, or like the 45 minutes on the treadmill, the same as the 2 glasses of wine? How ridiculous does that sound now? What we take in drastically changes what your body does with it, how much energy it burns, and what hormones it sets off. And so, a calorie being a number that equals the number of another calorie that someone artificially burned off in a lab to see how much thermal heat came off just does not make sense. It does not take into a fact of what that is, what your body's going to do it with it, like what you're eating with it, when you're eating it, and the whole like package of like what it is that your body is doing. So my answer is, I guess I should say, just stop thinking about the calories. Just take it. The takeaway for today is our bodies are smarter than us. Let's stop trying to trick it by eating too little and instead give it what it needs to be in balance and regulate itself where it should be. Stop counting calories. All diets work, all diets fail. We don't need a diet. We need a new way to weight wellness and hormonal balance. And that's by figuring out like what it is nutritionally that we're eating and when we should be eating it. So that was a lot. Me and my ski hair had a lot of nerdy things we wanted to say tonight. Just keep something in mind. It's not always about the calories. So while those burpee charts I talked about at the beginning are very interesting, it's good to keep in mind that it's only a tiny part of the story. So here at Holist, we have a step-by-step program designed to help you really figure out how your brain and your body are working around food, what it is specifically about why, when, and what you should be eating. It's not the same for everyone, and getting you to whatever those body and brain goals that you have. Here specifically for the holiday season, as I mentioned, we have some amazing holiday culinary strategy sessions for you with Coach Katrina and Coach Karen, which are super fun. They're hour-long sessions. You can bring recipes and they can help you transition them, or you can just come and be like, this is what I need, help me out. Or you can come and say, I don't know what I need. Can you help me out to get me through the holiday season into 2023 as you want to be? We also have, if you want that, just drop the word strategy into the comments. And also, we have a holiday tips webinar that we did last year, which is super fun. And I'm really excited to share it again that I did with Jenny and Karen. So, again, thank you so much. And we will see you in a couple weeks. Ciao.